Does it matter whether the father is there or the father?
Yes, it matters, Lorraine. You know why it matters?
Matter.
Let me tell you.
I get back to the child.
Okay, wait, Lorraine, you can't keep talking.
That's wrong.
Jesus Christ, Admire, can you get this?
No matter how you want to brush them off. Sorry, I cannot continue with this discussion. May you please all have a good evening.
How many single women do we have? If you to go,
how many do we have?
There are a lot. I might not have googled the rights that the men are given. They are not using them properly.
That's why we are now advocating for equal rights.
If the same rights are given to women, we can actually sometimes do better than you guys.
What rights do men have that women do not have?
Men are allowed to marry a lot of women.
You cannot get a birth certificate of a child without the father present. I gave birth to the baby.
Because we are divorcing at the end of the day, because I don't want to be the person who has to sit and wait and take the nonsense of women. They're just marrying more women into poverty.
That is a very strong accusation to put towards the men that have taken care of you.
So feminism then gives that child, that woman, an opportunity to provide for her.
We're not saying that there are no bad men who don't know how to treat women with respect. That
but
being
you
said,
acknowledge that 3/4 of the men here in Africa.
Does that even sound reasonable?
How do you know that?
Are we bad on that?
The evidence that I have is how many NGOs do we have?
Do you think that at that time when our grandfathers were there were many non-governmental organizations or less at that time? If you are going to cite a number to say 3/4, at least to say, okay, there's a study that was done and we know that academic and scientific methodology was involved.
Let's wait for Google then to give us what they think is happening in Africa.
You don't need Google, I'll send you documents.
Is that Clariss?
Yes! I'm listening to your
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Admire's CloseUP. And this is your main man speaking, Admire, and I am super excited because we have another panel. Different guys now today. Of course, we have 4 ladies and 2 gentlemen. We've got Vincent, Dumisani, Clariss, Lorraine, Beauty, and Speedo. And they're going to be dissecting on an issue that I find very much interesting. So listen to this. Google says feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the ground of equality of the sexes. And my sweet spot where I'm really curious is the outcome of this if Africa is to fully embrace this. And these guys here are going to tell us all about it and what they think. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Admire's CloseUP.
Hello.
Interesting.
Hello.
All right. Awesome.
Hi, having you and having us.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm very curious. What do you think the outcomes are going to be if Africa is to fully embrace? I mean, we've seen what this has done in the Western countries. What do you think Africa is going to look like?
For me, it simply means a free environment and equal opportunity for everyone, whether you're male or you're female. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Sweet. It's a free, fair environment, whether you're a female or a male. So do you really think it's going to be that simple in Africa? Like it's just going to be free and it's going to be fair? Let's get into reality. Clariss?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Last time Dumisani was accusing me of being a feminist. So now I don't... So what I think is, I think mostly as African, like actually me, the first time I was introduced to feminism, it was actually within the Western context, and it did not actually recognize or acknowledge like the being of African, of being an African woman. It's about, they're talking about liberation, equal rights, equal pay, but it did not recognize my mother, who's maybe in the rural areas, what it is to be a woman in Zimbabwe from Chitungwiza, Anomiram line, who stands in queues for water at night, despite maybe the constant fear of being raped and stuff. So I think we can't adopt the Western type of feminism because it doesn't really fit into what is African. And besides, I'm always pro-African. That's what I think.
Okay, I'm getting more curious now. So there is the Western feminism and there's the African feminism. Lecture me into that one. What does the African one look like?
Okay, African feminism, let's say, for example, for me, it's represented by my mother. My mother represents, she doesn't call herself a feminist, but how she is and what she has done as a woman to ensure that I do not, I'm not exposed to the same problems that she was exposed to growing up. She made sure I got the right education. She made sure that I was safe, and she made sure that we were fed so that we could not have the same struggles that she endured as a young woman. And right now, I'm actually, and it's something that people do not acknowledge. They do not acknowledge it as independence because it's not something that's shiny, but it's something significant that a mother dared to do. She was a single mother, but she single-handedly sent me to school, single-handedly ensured that I had freedoms that she did not have because she had struggles, which some people feel like it's not feminism. That's how it is for me. And I think I speak for a lot of African women, those who sell at markets, at musika, we call it musika, those who sell musika, those women are constantly struggling, adversity after adversity, but no one actually dares to recognize them because it doesn't fit the boardroom type of feminism or the equal pay type of feminism. It's just me. That's it.
Mr. Vincent, you look like you want to add on something. We cannot hear you, sir.
I had to unmute my mic. I wanted to say, I think you are confusing feminism as an ideology with being a good and decent human being and being a good mother. Those things are different. When we are talking about feminism, we are talking about an ideology that looks to have equal results, not only equal opportunities, but equal results between sexes and genders. So calling your mom a feminist because she did what she was supposed to do as a mother is not feminism at all. And I doubt that that's what we are supposed to be talking about. And by the way, your mother, everything that she did were her responsibilities. She's supposed to do that. She's supposed to take care of her kids. Of course, her circumstances were difficult in that she was a single mother, like you said, but what was she supposed to do? Abandon you? You cannot give her credit for the things that she was supposed to do. And I see that in a lot of this movement, that women tend to be given credit for things that they are supposed to do anyway. You cannot brag about taking care of your kids. They are your kids. You're supposed to take care of them. You send them to school. They are your responsibility. So, yeah. There's a difference between being a good mother, a decent human being, and being a feminist. A feminist is an ideology that affects those beliefs.
Mr. Vincent, the way Speedo is shaking her head, I feel like she wants to explode. Do you want to come in, Speedo?
All right, excuse me for saying, okay, that's what my mother's supposed to do. I mean, remember when I said sometimes last time we was talking about Lobola, and I said, certain things start with the man. Everything begins with the man. She's doing that because the man's not there to provide. So at the end of the day, we then advocate for equal opportunity because we want to cover that gap that the father is not there. So now in Africa, now we're saying, okay, fair enough. Yes, the woman's going to the market. If the father is not there. Now imagine there's a woman that's going to the market and then the father is there, generally speaking, and all he does is take his salary, and the mother is then going to the market and then she's spending the whole day there, and then she comes back. She's expected to do wifely duties. Why shouldn't we stand up for those women and be a voice for those women?
Okay, so I didn't say we shouldn't, but see how you are taking the worst example of a man and the best example of a woman. So you are taking the example of a man who is...
a bad example.
The world is full of those. Let me respond.
of a man and then have feminism coming out.
Let me respond. You see, in your example, I can easily come up with an example of a man or a girl who was raised by a single dad who did all those things that you're saying this woman in your example did. So you cannot give an argument saying that, oh, what if the woman is just married to the worst man possible? That's not an argument. And the other thing is, in all the examples that we can come up with, right, we are imagining just a decent human being, which are most people. So deadbeat dads, they do exist. There are men who are irresponsible, those exist. You can also acknowledge that there are women who are irresponsible. They exist. Some women desert their kids. Some women leave them at police stations and all that. But I'm not giving examples of those women. I'm talking about a decent human being.
Mr.
And
Vincent,
saying
the way Beauty is holding her chin, she looks like she wants to crush you right now. Beauty, you want to come in?
The whole issue of feminism is being brought up through the fact that we are having so many bad men who are not leading by example, right? They are not providing for the families. That's why we are now advocating for equal rights between the men and the female.
Okay, what evidence do you have to support that?
There's so much evidence.
Oh my God.
Okay, bring it on.
Yes.
I would like to chime in too, just to ask, since we're talking
Before
about.
you do, remember I asked for evidence here, nothing was given. But go ahead.
Oh, you want evidence?
No, let's
you
get
want
that evidence. Yeah, examples, I guess.
Clariss has one, please.
Okay, I don't know whether it's evidence or what, because I don't want this to turn into the battle of the sexes like it was last time. Guns were blazing the last time. I want this to be a good conversation. So,
But I liked it last time. It was a good conversation.
So
Okay,
the
go
thing
on.
is, okay, the evidence, okay, we've had, for me, it's not a battle of the sexes, feminism. Feminism is about equity. That's what it is for me.
Clariss, evidence.
Yes.
Evidence for what she just said, that
Okay.
more men are bad.
A lot of men, okay, a lot of Zimbabwean men. Let me talk about something that we might be scared to really talk about, like it's a burning issue right now. Yeah, the issue of Mary Chiwenga and the General Bay. And this is something that's going to get us bent, you know. It's proving that it's proving that men have a lot of authority. I used to resent the woman Mary Chiwenga. Like right now, I sympathize with her. I feel very, very emotional. She has been stripped of her children. Number one. She has been stripped of her children. She's suffering because of a man who has power, who has authority. And us as gender rights activists, we cannot say anything.
Okay, let's remember onto the side. What other evidence do you have? Because you just picked one person out of 20 million Zimbabweans.
And you see the men that she picked, general who's
the most powerful men in
Africa, not just in Africa.
There is a lot of evidence. If I choose to select, like, there are a lot of men in Zimbabwe. You might choose not to agree with it. There are a lot of men, African men, like I said the last time, a lot of men were improperly raised, to be honest, and they do not know how to take care of a lot of men. There's a huge percentage of men who do not know how to take care of their responsibilities in their household. They want to be called Baba, but they don't know how to be Baba. All they know is going to drink alcohol and not coming to provide for the family. It's the same person who's beating their wife. It's the same person who's like, okay, I'm in this group of Zimbabwean women, and most of them were complaining about the fact that the husbands, their ex-husbands, are not taking care of their children simply because they refuse to sleep with them. Men feel because they have had children with you, they are obliged to continuously sleep with
Clariss,
you.
You're now just rambling at this point.
I'm not rambling. I'm stating facts.
There was no fact in there. A fact is something that we can actually refute. When you say so many, we can't refute that because there's no verifiable number. If you say 20%,
unfortunately,
we can say there's 30%.
Can I intersect?
Unfortunately, there's no research on that. Unfortunately,
that's
we have seen a lot of women. Yes.
Okay. Hello. and Clariss, can you give Lorraine a chance? She probably wants to shoot you guys.
I've been listening. Yes. Oh, and Clariss just went off. Okay, I wanted to say, as much as you guys, you want facts, we cannot really provide facts because some of these things are not documented, and some of these things we cannot say. An example, there is Dumisani next door, there is who next door, there is John next door. We cannot do that. But look at this. How many single women do we have? And what are the reasons? Why are they single? If you
how many do we have?
There are a lot. I might not have Googled, but Jimmy, you might want to argue with me, but even yourself, you know it.
I'm not arguing with anything.
You know
what I'm saying
there
here
are a lot of single women out there, and if you sit down and listen to them, and you hear the reasons why they are single, it's not because their husbands died. No, we're not talking about widows here. We're talking about women who have got men that left them. They just left them with nothing. And now the reason why we're advocating for feminism is because we realize that the rights that the men are given, they are not using them properly to support us as women, as much as we are there to help them. But the rights that they have got as men, they're not really helping the community at large. And we realize that if the same rights are given to women, we can actually sometimes do better than you guys. So that's why we're advocating for this.
Just a question. What rights do men have that women do not have?
In quotes, can I say something, Lorraine? In quotes, men say men are allowed to marry a lot of women because it's been there in the past. They are given rights by society. They're given rights by culture to live a particular way. So life has been going in a particular pattern from generation to generation. So those those are like the silent rights which are not documented that they're given.
So are you saying that you want rights to marry many?
Let me finish.
Vincent.
Let me finish.
I actually want to. Wait. I want to respond to what you just said,
Lorraine.
Let me finish. You asked me a question.
But I was not done. I'm not done.
No, but you asked me a question.
Let her go ahead then do me.
Let me go ahead. You answer at once. Like, for example, what she was saying, it's not documented that the men should do this. For example, I think, I'm not sure if it's still being done in Zim, that you cannot get a birth certificate of a child without the father present or the father's ID. I mean, I gave birth to the baby. I can get a birth certificate for my baby. Does it matter whether the father is there or the father? That's a right.
Yes, it matters, Lorraine. You know why it matters?
Matter.
Let me tell you.
I get birth to the child.
Okay, wait, Lorraine. You can't keep talking.
That's wrong.
Jesus Christ, Admire, can you get this?
All right.
Seriously.
Okay, let me chill for now.
Yeah, because the thing is, you asked a question. The reason also why I think. See, I'm not a person that is obviously in these registration offices, but I understand that if a woman is to say she can write down who the father of the kid is on without either the consent or the father being present, she can easily go and just write anyone's name there and you become the father easily without even any form of proof. So those things are not just put as just rules because we just like to give people rules. They serve certain purposes.
Yeah, and on top of that,
but if I tell you the father is not present in this child's life, why do I need to go and look for him? I don't know wherever you went to.
You started by. Okay, do me go ahead.
Because the reason why that's that there is something called paternity fraud. Yes. We don't talk about it in our community a lot, but that happens a lot. Of the things that men fear the most, you guys fear being raped above anything else we can talk of. One of the worst things that can ever happen to a man, if you guys actually would understand us and our nature is to be told the child is yours when it's not.
It's not.
And you take care of a child that's not yours and it's another man's. So you see how you're actually putting it as, it's not really that important because you're not a man.
No, okay.
That's
I think
a big fear of ours.
To me. That one is a different circumstance to say, okay, I'm saying
Can I come in?
And Dumi they can just write Dumisani Manyanga as the father. No, that one obviously the father has to be present. But if I go and say no, the father is not present in this child's life, then just that. Just give me the birth certificate.
Okay, I hear where this going. This started when we deviated a little bit from the topic we were talking about, and we got to examples, right? Vincent asked examples of the men, right? That was the question. Examples?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Clariss, do you still want to add on the examples?
Yes, we need
I
to
want to say something. I want to say something about, the problem, the challenges with these African men, though it's not undocumented, when they're at the bars or wherever it is they drink alcohol or wherever there is they discuss as men, they can never simply agree that they cannot father the children. They can never admit that there is a possibility of them being sterile. There's a possibility of them not having children. And so there is a trend. I'm not justifying what women do, but a lot of women would actually find out that, this man, it doesn't work. He has low sperm count. And here he is, he's blaming me for not having children. Most men don't even want to go to fertility clinics, by the way, because they feel a man can always be able to produce. So the problem is men are very stubborn. Men are very proud in such a way that they can never admit kuti inini dino fire my blank, kuti inini it doesn't work. I cannot have children. And at the end of the day, they end up taking care of children.
Do comprehension in school. Did you do comprehension in school?
I did comprehension, and I'm a writer, by the way.
This has to be said.
All right.
Before, I thought Lorraine was saying something ridiculous, but she went away. This is the newest ridiculous thing that you girls have said so far. Like, are you... Okay,
it's the truth. You are too pride. Your ego does not allow you to admit that your sperms do not work.
Let's come to Beauty's examples, and then
how did we get to that?
Yeah, I'm still lost.
I'm actually stunned that you are citing that. You see, obviously there are some men who can be infertile, but the same can be said about women. That's not an argument. This is just anecdotal. Something happens. You cannot raise that to say, okay, so what percentage of men
Not all men are very educated and very bright as you two young men. A lot of men are walking around with a lot of foolishness. They don't even believe some men cannot be fertile. They don't believe in that. And that's why you find out in the old days, you'd find Amai Guru would go to Bamnini, because she wouldn't want to tell the husband, it doesn't work. You're not working simply because of your ego and your pride.
Okay. With everything that you said, what's your point exactly?
I'm still trying
My point exactly is that you were saying that the biggest fear is for a man to take care of children who do not belong to him. The biggest fear of most African men is to be called Kutiausharisi. I think that's the biggest fear.
Are you a man? How do you know that?
I've sat down as a man.
But you also told us that our biggest fear is being
because we are men. Because we are men. You see, this is a uniquely male experience. I cannot say as a woman my biggest fear is to have my mascara run over my face. I'm looking for evidence. She said that most men, number one, Lorraine said men have rights that women don't. I said, give me evidence, nothing. She said, Beauty said that most men...
they're not responsible.
Most men are not responsible. Yeah. I said, give me evidence. Nothing was produced so far. What I've heard up to this point is anecdotal evidence, which I can come up with anecdotes all the time, because I can take an example of an irresponsible woman and say most women don't know how to do this and do that and so on. And we can go in circles and talk about nothing in the end.
And let me just chime in also, because Lorraine asked this question and I was going to answer her when she was saying, why do you guys put more emphasis on just statistics and numbers? The reason why we do that as a society is because there are certain things that seem true on a very small number or sample of data that are not true for the bigger population. If, for example, I was to be in a plane that basically crashes and I survive, the next time I get on a plane, I'll have an irrational fear of flying. But it doesn't mean that the risk of flying has gone up or decreased. But it's because I've experienced something that was traumatic myself. My first-hand experience is now detecting what is not different. What I'm trying to say is, in the world, there is thousands and thousands of planes that take up and go down. And we only probably hear of 1 or 2 accidents in a year. That means planes are pretty safe. But if you're in that one accident, all of a sudden, all planes are not safe. That's the problem that we have, that you see a man that is mistreating a woman, then now all men are like that. Or you see a woman that's mistreating a man, then now all women are like that. It's not a fair way of actually observing society and making conclusions. That's why we are asking for, is there a bigger number of like a population? You say, okay, this is what we know. Now, it's an unfortunate thing. I know also that in Africa, we don't really record these things than in the West. So yes, I understand you guys for not being able to find actual data.
I'll give you evidence.
Okay, yeah, you do have evidence. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Now, Len, this is what we call evidence. Okay, you talked about single. No, because this is important. The reason why I keep on emphasizing on evidence is because a lot of people just hear anecdotal things and go off on them without even looking in the data, is what I'm believing supported by the data that is available on the ground. So you mentioned about something about single motherhood. Obviously, that is a terrible thing. We don't want any woman to be a single mother and so on. But what are the causes of single motherhood?
True.
If you really look into it, in Zimbabwe, most women are single mothers because the first reason is because of out of wedlock children, like they, what we call, what's the name in Shona? I'm forgetting. When someone has a kid,
Kutizira or something like that.
Yeah, but Kutizira, you go to someone's house. I'm talking about
house.
when you don't.
I think when I'm single.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, committee square.
Yeah, right. The second one,
exactly.
Yes. Shona is getting that.
Yeah, we're getting that.
The second one is women filing for divorce, like to actually go to divorce court and so on. In all those, the two biggest reasons why women are single, you cannot put all the responsibility on the man, like you are claiming to, like you are seeming to do. Number one, if someone is going to be irresponsible with their lives to the point where they get pregnant when they are not married, at least they should share half of the blame for that. And about 92% of divorce cases in Zimbabwe, 92%, the women file for divorce. So they become single by choice. Whatever the circumstances were, at least they share. Whatever those reasons are, at least they have a share in the outcome.
Oh, you seem to have reasons to why they are filing for divorces and separating.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
on the topic, right?
The reason why I seem radical and why I sometimes say certain things is because I've sat in a lot of women empowerment circles within Africa. Not anything Western, not anything. And the problem is always the same. The issues they raised are always the same, that they are being abused, that the issues, what I'm also saying right now about men not being able to own up, to be unable to produce children. These are some of the cross-cutting issues that are always raised, which are not recorded, number one. And these issues, number two, people take them lightly. They don't think there's anything significant with these issues.
I'll take you at your word that you are hearing all these issues.
Now, at the end of the day, So at the end of the day, when I hear people trying to like minimize like the lived experiences of certain African women, despite nekuti hapana evidence, because they don't have evidence, it really annoys me. It really, like, being exposed to the West and stuff, you're exposed to Western problems. It's okay, but do not be ignorant to African problems. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Okay, so
You see, that's a classic. Wait, that's a classic insult right there. Or you're trying to say we don't understand you. The only reason why we don't understand you is because we're not in Zimbabwe. That's not an argument. Formulate an argument.
And also, okay, about the argument that you seem to make, right? You say that you actually sit in these circles and hear actual women talk about these things.
You go to men's
the highly selective, the highly selective group. You're already in the circle of people, number one, who have experienced the same thing. It's like if I go to an Alcoholics Anonymous group, right, and sit there, I would probably think, alcohol.
You have more things in common with the people that you have there.
Okay, I think
when we have these empowerment circles, excuse me, when we have these empowerment circles, it's not like we're doing them in central one space in Sakuva or whatever. It's all over the place. We are going place after place after place. It's the same experience, and we can't ignore the fact that women are being exposed to those experiences, no matter how you want to brush them off or what. And I'm sorry, I cannot continue. Sorry, I cannot continue with this discussion. May you please all have a good evening. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
That's pretty mature of you, Clariss. You can go if you need to.
Okay, I was going to reiterate the question that was there, because I mean, the last time we were talking about the reasons why something came up here, the reasons why
Can I say something?
have a lot of women. Yeah, the women being single. You want to add on that, Speedo?
I like what these guys keep on doing. They keep on, like he then says, Alcohol Anonymous and stuff. You choose to be a member of Alcohol Anonymous. Sorry if I'm not mistaken. When we go for these awareness programs, when we're going there to talk about GBV, for example, I'm just giving you, I don't choose which women I want to go to because I'm going to a foreign environment. I probably go to Cheche. I stay in Mutare.
You mean gender-based violence?
No, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying, I'm just trying to, like you said, you've chosen, you're talking to Clariss and saying you've chosen to be in this particular group of people. That's why I then came back.
No, that's not what was my point, but go ahead.
It's okay. I'm trying to get it from where I understood it. You can correct me from my misunderstanding. So I'm thinking, okay, fair enough. If I'm going to be a person who's going to be for Alcohol Anonymous, I'm a member of Alcohol Anonymous. We don't go to groups of people who are members of feminism when we go out there for awareness programs and talking to women. We're just talking to a group of women, and you can't ignore that. That's what we do. We don't have a setup where we say, okay, who's up for feminism when we go to a village?
All right.
Understand what I'm saying?
I think there's a
wait, it's okay. Wait, sorry. I'm trying to bundle it.
Let her finish. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, as much as you want to say that a lot of women are divorcing, why do you think there is feminism? Because we are divorcing at the end of the day, because I don't want to be the person who has to sit and wait and take the nonsense for 3/4 of the nonsense that I'm getting in my marriage. Marriage is not supposed to be something where I always have to be taking what you do just because, in other words, your idea of a man your idea of a man is being the person that abuses me, a person that continues being a bachelor, yet alone they're married. Most of the women that are in our apostolic sect, sorry to say this, are women that are married in a polygamous marriage, who are the ones who also then go and fend for the children. Yet these men, which is 3/4 of the people in Zimbabwe are also in apostolic sect, are not even going to proper jobs to provide for the women. They're just marrying more women into poverty at the end of the day. So henceforth, there are people that are then speaking to the women that, okay, don't allow yourself to be manipulated and being put in such situations where you guys can stand up for yourself. So feminism then gives that child, that woman, an opportunity, or that underage or person who's been forced into early marriage, an opportunity to do something for themselves, not just then wait for a man to provide for her, because the man himself is the one that's taking advantage of her.
I think there is a big misunderstanding in this conversation. We are not denying the lived experiences of women. I myself know personally of women that have been abused and raped and horrible things have happened to them. We're not saying that those things never happen. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that there are no bad men who don't know how to treat women with respect, who don't know how to be fathers. We're not saying that at all. Okay? So that
But
being
you
said,
acknowledge that 3/4 of the men here in Africa are the
So you gave
people
us a
that
number finally. 3/4 of men.
3/4 of men what? Do what?
High problem.
Africa are the bad fathers. 3/4 of the men
Are
are
the
bad
bad
fathers.
fathers? What's your evidence on that? How do you know that?
Are we
What-
back on that
The
again?
evidence
Yeah,
that I have
that's-
is how many NGOs do we have here that are calling on for stopping of early child marriages?
Really?
At the end of the year, yes, I'm a
You got
presenter.
3/4. You got 3/4 from the fact that there are non-governmental organizations
No, she's
that are
just
men.
listening.
I'm still going. If you're going to cut me because I just said non-governmental organizations, I really don't know what you want me to say. What I'm trying to say is that non-governmental organizations that we've had right now on the rise, 3/4 of them are talking about GBV and also empowering women. These things are happening right here in Zimbabwe. We're talking about how many newspapers right here, and as a person who works in media, how many papers have we had that have been bringing out the same thing where women are being told, right, fair enough, as women, you guys are being taken advantage of when we're talking about making the decision for a child to get married to a man. A father would simply just say, go get married because I need some food, yeah. Or most probably the father is not even there to take care of the child. The mother is the one that's going out in the market. Those are things that people and women are facing right here and in the country. Then we have a situation where we have generations we can't control because they're being told, you know what, your first husband is your certificate. Why? Because they've seen that the type of boys that are being groomed right now are not really the men that are like most probably our great-grandfathers. I won't really give our fathers as example because already
I love what you just said right here.
You find that now we're going to have girls that are saying, you know what, if you don't have A, B, C, D, and you don't fit to my qualifications and all that, and if you're not going to give me an equal opportunity, I'm probably not going to settle for that. Why? Because there's been a pattern that's been happening. That's why we keep on giving these girls opportunities.
Okay, I love what you said. So first of all, my question when I interjected you was like you are taking that 3/4 from the fact that there's an increasing presence of non-governmental organizations dealing with gender issues, right? And you gave an example of good men as to our grandfathers, not our fathers, but our grandfathers. Do you think that at that time when our grandfathers were there were many non-governmental organizations or less?
They were less. They were less.
Why were they less?
Because of the culture.
So do you think, okay, the other things that you were saying, what our grandfathers did, do you think that they were more of a polygamous society back then than we are now?
There was more.
There was more. So now you cited polygamy as a problem that we are having now, right? And you said that part of the reason why women is to get away and do their own things is because we have irresponsible fathers. Polygamy is now more. It was more back then, and there were no non-governmental organizations to do anything about it. But you are giving those men as good examples of what a man should be.
And the women
disparaging men.
Too.
Men now,
I say something after that.
What I'm really getting to is that if you are going to cite a number to say 3/4, at least to say, okay, there's a study that was done by the Department of Sociology at the University of Zimbabwe. They said this and that. And we know that academic and scientific methodology was involved in whatever numbers. You cannot just pluck out numbers from thin air to buttress whatever idea that you are trying to forward. That's not how you construct an argument.
But besides...
Did you ever state because BCD you can't? It's like you want us to go and say. That's why we say, yeah. At the end of the day, it's very difficult for us to actually put stuff. If you're gonna close my argument just because I can't pick up something and then ignore that something is present, just because we don't have it documented in Africa, then we say, okay, fair enough. That is not a problem. That's what's not causing feminism to take place or a rise in feminism. And I don't know really. Let's wait for Google then to give us what they think is happening in Africa.
You don't need Google. I'll send you documents.
I'll tell you what is causing.
Is that Clariss?
Yes. I'm listening to your
Oh, I'm happy Clariss is back.
Oh
No,
my
what up?
god.
What up? What up? What up? Okay, so I wanna say something. At least as far as that point is concerned. See,
Mm.
the thing that we've been able to do, and the reason why I strongly oppose feminism, especially the way it has been pushed in the West, we can say it's not the same ideas in Africa that are going to be pushed, but ultimately we'll end up getting to where the West is. And in so many ways, you can already kind of see some of the ideas that are almost the same. But all right. The problem is
Okay.
we look at men and we look at them as as scapegoats for the results we don't want in society. To say if anything is wrong, we usually blame it on the men. If we put any accountability on the women, we have issues. As you can tell on this panel, we're fighting over that.
Can I say something?
What Speedy? Just can you wait for me to finish what I'm trying to say? Sorry,
Okay.
you can come in. Sorry.
Yeah.
What Speedy was just saying, that 3 in 4 men are either non-fit for marriage, and they're the problems and the reasons why we have divorces, or they are in some way abusing the women in their lives. That is a very strong accusation to put towards the men that have taken care of you. You have fathers and brothers in Zimbabwe. Seriously, are you trying
that
me?
number is not supported by anything.
But I'm trying to just say, Speedo, like seriously, bear with me here. I'm really trying to ask you a question here. If our women are walking around and saying, if you have 3 or 4 men in your house, that is your father and your brothers, you're saying 3 of them are more likely to be abusive to women that are around them. Does that even sound reasonable at all? Because that is what we do. We say things that we obviously cannot prove.
It's okay. My father is the man that you mentioned, right?
Exactly.
Was not a good man.
Yes.
My mother had to endure a lot for him to be a good man.
Yes.
Then comes to my uncle. He's not a good man. We currently have a situation where I'm just giving you examples. You said 3/4. I am talking about the men in my life.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm listening.
He has had like a couple of, I would say 5 women who he did not marry, but he had extramarital activities with. Then he had children. Then comes a situation whereby he then impregnates another sister to his wife. Yeah. You understand? Then we wait for it. My mothers are 10 in their family. We are talking about just the men you said around me, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then we are talking about my uncle. We had a nickname, you can imagine as a child moving, Blaningi. He's known for his extra activities and what. Yet when my aunt is there and my uncle goes to work a proper job, but does nothing to support the children. Then we have the other one. He has children with another woman. He decides to support them without the other woman knowing. And then amongst them, they kill each other because someone did not just own up. Yeah.
Finally, some examples are coming.
So all I'm trying to say is, it's not about me saying, all right, let me go, and not every woman has the opportunity in Africa to report the cases that they're going through just because they're being abused by men.
All right,
or because
I like that
equal standing, or they're not getting in equal standing with a man. I know in Africa, for us to say, all right, just sit there because I want to say A, B, C, D, it's taboo. You understand? But what we need to do is, feminism now is coming from the West and coming to Africa on an intellectual point of view, where me and you have understood what feminism is. Yeah. Where we can now take it and study feminism and then say, okay, I think we can have an equal opportunity like this in A, B, C, D. That we can do. But when we are talking about the people,
I think we are talking about 2 completely different things. You, most of you girls, you are talking about bad behavior in our society, mostly perpetrated by men, right? And there is a lot of evidence to support that. Wait. So there are 2 different things here. There is you're talking about bad behavior that men engage in, right? I cannot refute that or argue against that. Obviously, like I said, those are your lived experiences. They are real people that you talked about. Those things do happen, right? So that's one thing. If we want to talk about, okay, there are some men who act this way, we can agree that, yeah, of course, they act that way, right? And there's another issue of feminism. Those are 2 different things. So you seem to be saying that obviously we have a problem with bad men.
And the solution you're putting
so
is
the
feminism.
solution is feminism.
Which
and
we are
in
disagreeing.
that context, I would also want to ask you, what is feminism? Because what happened with Clariss was she was saying feminism is how her mom acted. As a good woman, she took responsibility, she raised them. But that is not feminism. That's being a good mother. Okay, so it's almost like if I become a good father.
Doing what a man is supposed to do. A man is supposed to provide for the family. It's simple and straightforward.
I agree.
We agree with you.
Can I say something?
We agree with you.
I agree that
Can I come in, ladies and gentlemen? Look, let's.
If you don't acknowledge that the man has failed to do something,
no, we agree with you, Speedo.
We agree with you. Listen, guys. Let's not lose focus here. I think there is a distinct difference between good moral behaviors and this issue of feminism we're talking about. And let me try to maybe split it up. Before we began, I defined, according to Google, what feminism is, and I think that comes more on equality, right, in terms of the rights of women. And I think if we look at behaviors, I mean, I also have examples of aunties who also have bad behaviors and uncles who also have bad behaviors. So I think
Can I say something? Feminism is about crushing the patriarchy. And then when I say patriarchy, I don't mean men or women. It's about, I don't mean men. Because women can also be drivers of patriarchy. We are trying to smash the patriarchal system. And the thing is, by smashing the patriarchal system, because you're saying that there are a lot of patriarchal structures that exist within the communities that we are coming from. And those patriarchal structures, they don't give women the same leverage, the same ground as men, the same grounds. Like in the old days, women were not allowed to go to school. And even still now, we are having issues with when a 16-year-old gets pregnant, she's no longer allowed to go to school. But we're saying, let her proceed with her life. It's not the end of the world now that she's pregnant. That's all we are trying to say. We can't continue with old systems at the expense of women, at the expense of girls within the community and within the society.
Right.
That's
so that we can be on the same page about what we are talking about.
And it's all about equality. It's all about equality, equity at the same day, at the end of. Equality of resources, equality of opportunities, equality of everything. We should be standing on the same ground, being granted the same opportunities. That's all. That's all it is.
What Clariss is saying, the example that she gave, saying that a girl can get pregnant at 16 and they say she cannot go to school anymore. That we want to stand against that, because it's not equality or whatever it is, on the fact that the guy is also 16 years, impregnated me, I'm 16 years, they're saying I can't go to school anymore, but the guy is going to school. That's something that we can look at as well. I see here in SA, I think they actually stopped doing that. If you're pregnant, you can still continue with school, but back then they didn't do that. But someone stood in the way and say, no, you know what? A child still has to go to school, because the guy is going to school. The guy is continuing school. By the time I'm pregnant, by the time I'm 9 months pregnant, I give birth and all that, the guy is already working at some high offices. The guy might not even look at me anymore, because I was 16. I mean, and now you are somewhere else.
And also, let me just say, feminism also, it's about ensuring that there are no double standards. Why I dislike feminism as well, there's also some double standards in feminism. Like, you find it's about accepting women despite their choices. I might choose to be a housewife. That's my choice, being a housewife. And we don't. I hate this system in feminism. We actually end up bashing each other for the choices that we make as women. When someone is wearing their hijab, they chose to wear that hijab. If they are wearing it by choice and they are wearing their duku by choice, let them wear their duku by choice. If you want to strut around yourself naked, it's okay, fine by me. Let's just accept women for the choices they make. Allow them to make their choices. Allow them to make decisions concerning their body, concerning their futures, concerning their potentials. That's all we are saying. That's all we are asking for in feminism.
Sorry, Mr. Vincent. Clariss, you raised something interesting when you talk about the patriarchy, and I got so curious to know more about that. I mean, I come from Zimbabwe, and majority of Zimbabweans are Christian homes. And I think that's kind of where we draw how we run homes and stuff. If you have different views, or perhaps you want to support or disagree, let us know in the comments section. Don't forget to like and share this premiere. Till we meet again, goodbye for now. We are a full-service advertising agency with intentional creators who deliver innovative solutions, remarkable brands, and highly thoughtful experiences. AD Media provides a full-service brand and experience packages from start to finish. Whether your start is a blank canvas or a heritage in need of modernization, we also offer single service if you're not into that. From inspiration to execution, we develop the best ideas into projects and campaigns that allow small businesses and big corporations to effectively market their products, services, and events. To ensure successful advertising, we use quite a number of techniques, which include market research, conceptualizing, analysis, and evaluation. We execute every project and campaign with the 8-step process that delivers effective and strategic ideas in a short time frame. Whether you want to market a product, a service, a company, an event, or even you yourself, we will begin the marketing process by first establishing your target market audience and your goals. Whether you want to increase sales, improve customer experiences, or become the leader in your industry. So where are you going? Tell us, and we will show you how you can get there. For more information, contact the numbers appearing on your screen for a free consultation, and we'll take it from there.